Hey all, it's Linda. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I saw this on Rachel Palmieri's channel. I'm going to link her video down below, but I wanted to talk about some of my favorite palettes that have been discontinued. Now, truth be told, there's a chance that this video might piss some people off because I am going to be talking about palettes that you can no longer purchase retail price. But at the same time, like, some of my favorite palettes are ones that have been discontinued. And I don't want to just stop talking about them altogether just because they're not available anymore. I want to talk about my love of makeup and loving my collection and what's in it, especially since I am currently back on my low buy right now. Now, as I've done in the past, if I can find any of these palettes on a secondhand site like Poshmark or Mercari or things like that, I'm going to link it for you down below. Now, those are always at your own risk. You know, people can sanitize palettes. I personally do buy a lot of makeup off of those types of sites, and you can usually get a pretty hefty discount, though with some of these, I'm not positive since, again, they are discontinued. But we're going to jump right into it. But as we are watching this together, as we're going through this together, I have a challenge for you, okay? One of these palettes that I'm going to present to you today is the look that I'm wearing on my face. So when you guess it, stop the video and comment down below which of these palettes you think I'm wearing. I'll let you know at the end. Don't skip ahead to the end. Play the game. It's fun. But we're going to hop right in. The first palette that I want to talk about is one that I am not 100% sure has been discontinued, okay? Because the company has said that this may very well be the last restock, and I think there's only a few left on the site. So this is the only one in here that I'm not 100% sure on, but I'm pretty damn sure it's not going to be restocked and therefore will be discontinued. That is the palette that my friend Heather Austin did do with Adept Cosmetics. This is one of my favorite palettes in my collection, okay? These metallics are so shifty and so creamy and so beautiful, and the mattes go on beautifully. They blend with each other. There's no fallout. I am always just so amazed by this palette every time I use it. I am going to be showing you swatches of every one of these palettes on screen so you can see what I'm talking about, but they're just so beautiful and the quality is there. And this is one of those cases where when I first saw the color story, I was like, okay, that's nice enough. And then as I started really looking in it, I saw all these really cool color stories coming together, and I've been so inspired by it ever since. So yeah, this really is one of my favorite palettes, and you can get this still brand new on the website right now. But I really do think it's going to be the last restock. They've kind of hinted at that. They have not confirmed that. But if you want it, I'd say now is the time. This next one, I feel like people are going to be really annoyed at this one because whenever I bring this up, a lot of people say that this maybe was like their one that got away, their little like holy grail. And again, if I can find it used secondhand, I will. I hope I can. The RawBeautyKristi and Colourpop at First Sight palette. This is a freaking dream, okay? This is the Pacific Northwest because you have those beautiful mossy, earthy tones, but it's rooted in this really deep color story, right? Of these just dark greens, dark blue, the dark mossy green in the corner fiddlehead, which is my favorite shade, which I have a very deep pan in, and then chanterelle up here. So you've got these mushrooms, but this is just probably the most nature-driven palette I own. And I'm so into it. I think this is the best palette Colourpop has ever done. And I know that's a bold statement because Colourpop has done approximately 2,764.6 palettes over the length of their time, but this is the best one that I have ever tried. The quality is there, but look at that color story. It's a freaking dream. This next one might be controversial, okay? It might be controversial because guess what? This fucker is old, okay? This is an old palette, like really, really old. I have a picture of myself when I first got this palette, and I'll put a screenshot in once I let you know what it is, but it's the OG Urban Decay Naked palette, okay? And if you know me, you know I have a very hard time touching this palette because I freaking hate crushed velvet, but now I'm not touching crushed velvet. This was the first palette I can remember there being a feeding frenzy for. People went crazy, myself included. I did not get this on first launch. I got this on like third launch. Oh, and here's the picture that I was talking about when I first got it, and I was so proud. I think it came with a mini, it came with a brush, came with a double-ended brush, and then eventually it also came with primer potion or primer potion instead of the brush. Either way, this was where it was at. You could create so many looks with this, and guess what? I still use this. I know it's old. I know you're supposed to get rid of makeup after a certain point. Do they have a date on here? Oh, they do. I think it says 12 months. I think it says 12 months, and it's definitely been over 12 years. I don't care. I still freaking love this palette. I use it so often. There's a reason that this went viral. There's a reason people went crazy for this. This became the bridal palette, the gift palette. And I think that if they came out with this same exact color story today, in this same exact quality, maybe different packaging that is not crushed velvet, that it would go over so well, because the Naked Reloaded does not do it for me. The pink tones in there do not do it for me. It's all about this one. How many of you still have this palette? How many of you still use this palette? How many of you have vomited since I held up this palette and you've unsubscribed immediately because I still use it? Okay. Oh God. Okay. So to be fair, I do have a lot from the same brand in here, and I'm sure you all know what that brand is because I do have a clear favorite brand. Let's dip right into it. I'm talking about Melt Cosmetics, okay? I love Melt Cosmetics. I own like a significant portion of their palettes. I'd say like 75–80% of what they have out there. This palette. This is so underrated, and it has been since day one. And I've always been kind of bummed about that because I love it so much. So this is the Amor y Mariposas palette, okay? We have 20 colors here, which is usually more than I like in a palette. I am like 10 is my sweet spot, 10 to 16. 20, a little bit overkill, but when the color story was this beautiful, I was just sold, okay? This to me says butterfly. This to me says just like beauty and love, and I don't know what it is about this palette, but it really made my heart go thumpity thump, right? And on top of that, the quality is so damn good. I will tell you, what surprised me is that these mattes up here, these like green, like there's like a mint and then kind of a, I don't know, like an earthy grass green, they stained like a son of a bitch, okay? When I did my swatches, those really stained, as opposed to the reds and purples, which didn't stain as much. And usually, if I put a purple eyeshadow like anywhere in the vicinity of my eye, it's stained for the next 3 to 6 years. For some reason, it was definitely these greens up here that really did it. And I just was surprised by that. But I love this color story. These metallics are so metallic and so like beautifully like almost creamy. I feel like no one talked about this palette when it came out. And I know it was more expensive and it wasn't like, you know, the 10 pan that Melt usually has. So maybe that threw people off. But I just thought that this really didn't get the love it deserved. And it's still to this day one of my most favorite discontinued palettes, and I just wish more people would try it. Let's go with another Melt palette. So this one will also be controversial because this came out in a set, and most people gravitated towards the other half of this set, and I did not. I gravitated towards this one. Anyway, it's the Vida palette. Okay, this came out with the Muerte palette, which everyone loves, and I'm still lusting after. If you know me, you know that I've regretted getting rid of my Muerte palette. I actually kind of regret it, and I really want to buy it again, but I'm not going to because low buy. Anyway, the Vida palette is the one that really spoke to me, though, because these colors just, this has my heart, okay? It has my heart. First of all, it kind of matches my shirt. Let's talk about that. It kind of matches my shirt, but I love this color story so much. This one is called Papel Picado, and Papel Picado are the paper banners that are hung up in times of celebration, and they're just these beautiful, vibrant, bright colors, and that's what I think of when I see this whole palette. You do have, yes, a couple of these earthy sort of neutral tones, which are all so creamy and beautiful, but then these like vibrant red oranges, these vibrant greens. This color story really has my heart. And I know I've said that for a few of these, but this kind of color story just makes me so incredibly happy, and it makes me want to continue to pick up this palette over and over again. Like, I don't know if I will ever get tired of this palette. I love it so much. And there was so much love, again, for the Muerte palette, which is beautiful. It's so beautiful. But this one, I don't understand why more people didn't freak out over this. There was a while where Melt actually like found a couple boxes of this palette and put it back up for sale. And I feel like it sat there for months. Like no one was really like into it. And I was trying to tell everyone, I'm like, why aren't you buying this? Why aren't you all buying this right now? Because it's the best. We have 2 more palettes to go, and this is very interesting. I have a little story about this one. So this is the Tarte Foil Finger Paints. Now, first of all, it is the most beautiful packaging I own. It's just covered with these like crystals, and I mean, it's very textured on the front, but inside it's going to probably look like a bit of nothing, right? We just have these shimmers. But first, let me show you these swatches, okay? These metallics, these 3 metallics at the front are the most creamy shadows in my entire collection that are not cream shadows. Okay, these are just kind of pressed into a pan. They go on so beautifully. I've never felt anything like it in my life. They are so smooth and so metallic and shifty and beautiful, and you could swipe it across your eye with one finger and it was perfect. Okay, these 2 are pressed glitters. Now, people feel some kind of way about pressed glitters. I personally don't mind them at all, but I will admit that these 3 are the reason that this is in my like best discontinued palettes list. It's amazing. Here's what's weird, okay? This palette is also quite old. It is quite old, but I still use it fairly often. For some reason, all 3 of these shades left such a stain on my arm. I'm shocked it's not there anymore, okay? You might have seen my Instagram story where I posted about this because it left red stains on there from where I did swatches, right? To the point where it looked like, okay, you know when you go see a horror movie and, you know, the lady falls asleep and she has this dream that the monster chases her and he grabs her arm and she goes, ah! And then when she wakes up, she's like, oh my God, it was totally just a dream. But then she looks at her arm and there's a handprint. You know what I'm talking about, right? I had what looked like a burned handprint on my arm for a full day yesterday from the swatches. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because this palette is older or just my skin reacted in a certain way. I don't know. Am I still going to use this? You bet your ass I'm still going to use this. This is one of my favorite discontinued palettes. Of course I'm going to use this. This has survived so many declutters. I can't see myself ever getting rid of this one. Plus, I won this at my very first, I'll call it like influencer dinner after IMATS one year. I won this in a stack of Tarte palettes, and this is the only one that I still have in my collection, and it's not going anywhere. And the final palette, again, this one came in a set of 2, but this one is my favorite, and it's so interesting to me that it's my favorite because I don't use it extremely often, okay? This is not a palette that I pick up every day. This is not a palette I pick up every week, but every time I use it, I am so damn pumped. It is the Melt Beetlejuice Waiting Room palette. This is the primarily red, dark, grungy, grays and reds. Like, it's so good. Like, I was so shocked at how much I liked this because its companion palette is like neon green and like bright, vibrant purple, which is, you know, like my life. But this surprised the hell out of me. The quality is so good. Now, I thought all of the shades were too similar when I first looked at it, but they really aren't as similar as it would seem. Yes, like these 2 look very similar, these 2 look very similar, but they're different enough that you want them both in a look, right? And the quality is just so good. This swatches well, it goes on the eyes well, it blends well. This palette was like a dream for me, and I feel like this is what like a lot of the glam light palettes look like right now, right? Those Halloween editions where they're really deep grungy grays with like a shot of red in there. And they did it first. I just have to say, I'm not saying anything bad about glam light. I'm just saying this was done first. And this color, it's so hard to tell. It's called Sandworm, and it's really cool because it's white, but it's the most like cool toned gray white. It's just a really unique palette for my collection personally, and the quality is so there. All right, did you guess what palette I have on my eyes right now? I'll give you another second if you want. I'll give you another second to pause and comment which palette you think I'm wearing on my eyes. But the answer is the Adept and Heather Austin palette. This is the one I'm wearing on my eyes. I wear this one, again, so much. The colors I'm wearing today, I'm wearing Mythology, Magnolia, Smith, and a little bit, which other color did I put on? I think I put on a little bit of So Excited towards the inner corner, and then I, you know, added some crystals and things like that. But like, did I lose some crystals? I probably did. I really love this palette. And again, this is the only one right now that is still available on their site, but I do not think it will be restocked. If it's something you're interested in, get it now. So Here's also my challenge for you. I want you to comment down below. Tell me what your all-time favorite discontinued palette that you own is. You can also tell me about the one that got away. I like hearing those too, but I want to know about the one you own where you're like, nope, this one's not going anywhere. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love talking about all of my collection, all of my makeup, because again, since I'm on a low buy, I want to appreciate the stuff that I have. And yes, some of that's going to be discontinued and some of that is not as readily available to buy, but I'll see what I can do about finding you guys links for any of these. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, I would love if you'd give it a thumbs up. If you subscribe, if you haven't already, those are all really good ways to help out my channel. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Those are all GlitterFallout. And as always and forever, you are super freaking rock stars. And I love you so much with my whole heart. I'll see you in the next discontinued video. Bye.